Hello, I'm Randy McClure. Welcome to the latest supply chain tech brief. Think about what makes a supply chain successful. What comes to mind? Probably trucks, warehouses, giant container ships, right? But what if I told you the biggest key to unlocking efficiency is something we overlook every single day? It's all about language. Seriously. Today we're diving into how just defining our words can completely change the game. Let's jump in. Okay, let's be real. Companies are throwing billions of dollars at fancy tech, AI, analytics, you name it. They're all chasing this dream of a perfect, crystal clear view of their supply chain. But what happens? More often than not, they just get more noise, not more insight. So what gives? Why is all this incredibly expensive technology so often falling short? Well, the answer is almost shockingly simple, and it's the whole reason we're doing this explainer. You see, the root cause of these huge multi-million dollar tech flops, it often comes down to one single misunderstood word. All right, so this brings us to our first section, the supply chain's language barrier. And that subtitle says it all, how miscommunication silently sabotages success. Because that's exactly what's happening. There's this invisible wall, this language barrier running right through our supply chains, and it's killing projects before they even get started. So, how do we tear down that wall? The tool is something called a supply chain glossary. Now, I know what you're thinking, a dictionary, boring. But no, this is so much more than that. Think of it as a treaty, a pact, where every single person, every partner, every computer system agrees on exactly what a term means. This right here is the absolute foundation for getting everyone on the same page. And this isn't some brand new revolutionary idea. We're talking decades ago. The US military figured this out. They knew they couldn't run massive, complex operations without everyone speaking the same logistics language. But fast forward to today. Oh man, we're dealing with a global web of countless partners all zapping data back and forth instantly. The challenge is just on a whole different level now. And this confusion, it isn't just some academic problem. It has a very real, very high cost. So let's get into section two, the high cost of confusion, and look at the real world impact of all this. So, how exactly does this ambiguity wreck your business? Well, for starters, you've got partners in different countries using totally different words for the exact same thing. Meanwhile, your IT department is pumping out floods of data that are basically useless because no one agreed on what it should mean. Digitalization projects stall out because the data from trains, trucks, and ships just can't talk to each other. And this is a killer for AI and analytics. When your data gets lost in translation, you're basically building these super expensive, complex models on a foundation of quicksand. It's no wonder so many big tech projects just fail. I mean, this quote from Robin Sharma just nails it. Clarity precedes success. It's that simple. You can't win in a system as complex as a global supply chain if you don't have clarity first. Okay, so we get the problem. It's a big one. But how do we actually fix it? How do we get that clarity? The good news is there's a plan. So let's dive into our next section, a 5 step solution. This is your practical blueprint for building clarity. So here's the blueprint for building that common language. Step one, create urgency. Two, adopt operational definitions. Three, leverage knowledge graphs. Four, build a shared glossary. And five, identify champions. All right, let's unpack each of these. That first step, creating urgency, is so important. It really has to start at the top. This quote from Bob Beal hits it perfectly. Without focusing and getting to clarity, you cannot lead, you cannot motivate, you cannot plan, you cannot communicate. You see, this isn't some little IT problem you can just hand off. It's a core leadership responsibility, a strategic must do. Okay, this next point is absolutely crucial, the difference between a regular definition and an operational one. Look at this. A dictionary says delivery is just, transporting something. Super vague, right? But an operational definition gets specific. It says on time delivery for us means the goods hit the customer's gate within this specific 2 hour window, and we measure it by the scan in time. See the difference? One is a fuzzy idea, the other is a concrete, measurable rule. It's like the difference between a suggestion and a contract. Now, for step three, we get into some tech, but don't worry, it's a cool concept. It's called a knowledge graph. The easiest way to think about it is like a brain for your supply chain. A normal database is just a big list of facts, but a knowledge graph understands the connections, the context. It doesn't just know supplier X and part Y exist. It knows that supplier X makes part Y, and that part gets shipped on carrier Z. It adds that layer of meaning so both your people and your computer systems are on the same wavelength. So, who's responsible for making all this happen? The legend, W. Edwards Deming, had the answer. Quality starts in the boardroom. This whole process of creating clear, high quality definitions, that's not something you delegate down to an intern. This is a big picture strategic decision that has to be driven, and I mean really driven, from the very top. All right, so getting your own house in order is a huge first step, but that's really just the beginning. To truly solve this, we have to zoom out, which brings us to our final section, building a common language. This is a collective challenge for the entire industry. The ultimate goal here, the big vision, is to just smash the silos. Right now, the industry is a mess of countless different glossaries that all overlap and conflict with each other. The goal is to get from that chaos, to one unified collaborative approach where everyone is playing from the same sheet of music. Okay, so a goal that big can feel overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin? The source material gives us a really smart practical starting point. Here's the secret: don't start by arguing over the definition of a word. Instead, start by getting everyone to agree on the business metrics. What are we trying to achieve? What does a win look like for all of us? Once you agree on that, it becomes way easier to agree on how to measure it. And those common measures, that's the rock solid foundation for your shared glossary. But let's be clear, one company can't do this alone. It's just too big. This needs industry wide champions to step up to the plate. We're talking about governments, standards organizations, trade associations, the big tech vendors, and the major players in the supply chain world. They're the ones who have to lead the charge and make this happen. So, we'll leave you with this final thought, a question to take back to your own team. Take a hard look at your supply chain, your operations, your data, your partners. Is everyone truly speaking the same language, a clear language built on solid operational definitions? Or are your profits, your efficiency, and your big ideas getting lost in translation? Answering that question honestly could be the single most important thing you do to unlock your supply chain's real potential. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, this is Raymond McClure from SC Tech Insights. Thank you for listening. For more on this topic, click the article link below or go to www.sctechinsights.com for the latest insights on supply chain technology. Thank you and see you next time.